Good morning, everybody.
Good
we got a full house this morning.
Well, Jerry's disappeared for some reason.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Jerry's at the Washington, D.C. I guess it's right close to D.C., Trolley Museum there, and he was with us. I don't know what happened to him, but maybe he'll be back in here in a minute. But good morning, and thanks for joining us today. And we don't have any guests, but you know, that never stops us. So
Never. Nope.
Steve's back from Train Mountain. Bill's back from Iowa, and I'm actually up and moving around some now, so that's a good thing too.
Jerry said he lost his internet.
Okay.
I thought that only happened to me.
No.
No, that's an ongoing thing. Oh, Steve, tell us who's here in chat.
Oh, we got everybody. Good morning. God, chat's going by really fast. We got John Schuylkill River Valley, John Tanzillo, Rob T-Man, Lynn McCurdy, Allison's in here. We got Tammy, Mom and Son Railroad. Did I say Almar? My buddy Bernard. How are you doing, Bernard? Stephen Wigwag, John Dawson. Let's see. I know there was another one in here. Mike. Yeah. Okay. Did I miss anybody? I'm sure I did.
No, I'm having a look myself, and I think you got everyone's. Oh, John Dawson.
Yeah, I got John.
John Benecki's here.
We got Thomas Moore, Nashville Steam. Hey, that's a new one. Is that new? Are you new? Anyway, welcome.
I think he was here last week, I believe.
Well, I wouldn't know. I wasn't able to watch chat.
That's true.
I was kind of busy.
You were playing.
Good morning.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, I'm having a look through.
A lot of fun, Steve.
Oh, I did. Oh, I had way too much fun.
Say again, Shannon?
Well, I was going to say, I just realized StreamYard has had an update. I can actually now chat in the chat through StreamYard.
You can chat in the chat.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to do that. I used to have to actually go back to YouTube and pull out the chat from YouTube and use that, but now I don't have to.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been that way for a while, I think.
And we had Benecchi. How do you say your name? Benecchi? Is that how you say it?
That sounds about right.
Anyway. Let's see. And Thomas Moore, he said he was in Cape. Oh, crap. I'm not even going to try that name.
Cape Grande, Missouri?
Missouri.
Gerardo.
BNSF Railway. Too bad it's the BNSF.
Rob wants to know if you kept your train on the rails the entire time, Steve.
Oh, no. No, actually, I had one really good mess up. I was going through the double tunnel heading up to the north side, and there were some nice little squirrels they were digging on the hillside, and they had some rocks on the rail, and so it dropped my whole front truck on the ground, which was no big deal, except like a dummy. I lifted from the frame of the locomotive to get it back on the rail, and you don't do that. And because what happened was the wheel stayed on the rail, and I lifted it up, and it swung the equalizers out instead of in. And I did that one time at the house. It's a bitch to get them back in. You can't do it on the ground.
What exactly are the equalizers? Because I was curious about that when you kind of described it in the text message.
It allows the trucks to travel sideways, back and forth. That's how these Americans would track so well on a bad track. It's
So
just
the whole truck can slide
well
laterally, or
ladder.
just the wheels within the truck?
Yeah, it stays on the center pin of the truck, but the wheels can move back and forth and still have the weight on the wheels. And
So
it's kind of hard to explain, but they're swing equalizers. So when the weight's sitting on it, the wheels can move back and forth. Well, when I lifted it up, they flipped over. So
because there was no weight on them.
it keeps the weight on the front wheels, but it lifted the front of the locomotive up. So the rear driver was on the rail, but the center driver was not. So I couldn't run it that way.
So basically, the equalizers are like suspension for the pilot wheels themselves.
Right. So Fred Lisenby on his Pacific was behind me. So he tied into the back of mine. So I actually I got a cool video that a guy took. But anyway, Fred grabbed my train and we backed out of the tunnel and turned it on the Y. And he was shoving us up the hill, and his Pacific couldn't push my train. With his train and mine, he's just spinning drivers. So we spent most of the time trying to push this, literally push it. I was on the, pushing the train, and he's spinning drivers. And we did that for probably 20 minutes when this guy came up behind us with his little gas engine, and he finally ended up shoving us up to the steaming bay where it was an easy fix. I just couldn't do it out on the track because you have to actually get the locomotive and to the end of a track where you could take the weight completely off the front wheels so that they're just suspended in the air, and then flip over and push them back on the rail. But it was not something I could have done it out on the track, but it would have been a pain in the butt. So that was really the only issue with that. But that was, that was a bad thing. But
so how should you have done? Obviously, you've learned the lesson this time. Next time you're going to do it.
Well, I knew better. I did it once at the house here, and only by accident. And what I need to do is lift it by the wheels and not the frame. So you lift the wheel, just reach underneath and grab the wheels, put them back on, which is a little hard because it's a little heavy. But you don't lift it by the frame because then the wheels just want to stay there until those equalizers flip over.
And you put all the clips that you shot this last weekend, you put those on your channel, didn't you?
Yeah.
So if you guys want to see his train running at Train Mountain, he's got several clips on his channel on
I put
Steve Arnold.
Yeah,
YouTube
I put a new one out that's got some pictures too, because my kid was up there on Saturday, and he took actually a couple. He rode up to Hope Circle with us, and he shot a couple of really good pictures up there.
I saw those. You just put those out yesterday, right?
Yeah. And it did really good. I was really surprised, but the problem is the water stops on the north side going out to Hope. There's quite a bit of distance between water stops up there, and this won't make it with just the water in the tender tank. So I was carrying 3 gallon jugs of water in the caboose, and that worked actually really good because I needed them several times. So, but it made it up there. I was really, really surprised.
How is your water car build going?
Well, I did start. Actually, the guy made me an offer I couldn't use on on some trucks. So I'm building a guy sold me an old propane, a horizontal propane tank for $20, and I'm going to convert that into a water tender for behind the engine to add water to it. So that'll help a lot up at Trey Mount, because I need more water than I've got in the tender. No, it wasn't
Yeah,
really
so
good.
if you want to see those videos, yeah, just run over to Steve's channel, and he got some good clips, good running clips of it. I like the one. Did you have a selfie stick or something when you did that? You had it, or just holding it out with your hand? That
No,
one.
I borrowed a camera holder from a guy that was up there.
Yeah, because that's a cool shot.
Yeah.
Run while you're running, you get to see the side of the engine, get to see it working. That's pretty good view.
It's really hard on the body though. That thing is. I knew it was going to be tough being on that thing for that long. So
Yeah.
You definitely got to get off and stretch and.
Oh yeah. I would definitely have to get off of it. It was bad enough sitting on, when I was up there last year, and we were riding in pretty comfortable chairs, and it was still, you have to get up off the thing every now and then.
Yeah.
Well, from the few videos actually not few, I've seen a fair few videos, but from a lot of videos I see of people, that run the 7 1/4, 7.5 inch gauge stuff, when they make their own, flat cars with chairs, they usually go to a junkyard and get seats out of like Corvettes or, some luxury, really nice, smicky car. Just so that way all the passengers can sit in style and be like, shit, yeah.
There's a lot of guys up there that have big old comfortable, chairs that they've taken out of something for that. Yeah. They tend to make them a little top heavy.
Most of the ones that I saw were just what you would see in a bass boat, in a fishing boat.
Yeah.
And they fold down, so they can fold them down when they're not using them. And they're upholstered chairs, and they're not horribly uncomfortable. They're actually fairly comfortable. But just like in a bass boat, you sit in there long enough, and it's like you got to get up every now and then.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the more that happens.
Well, actually, one thing I did do, let me see if I can pull it off. This was a game changer. One of the worst things about that is the sight glass trying to read the water, because you're sitting so high you're looking down at it, so you can't really see the water really easy. So you're always leaning back to try to see the water level, and it's even hard to see at that point, and that really torques you back because you're leaning forward, leaning back. And it's what I did is I
get you a mirror. I was going to say that's what you need.
Yeah, and okay, there we go. So anyway, this just clips underneath the bottom of the sight glass, and so I can look down at the water level. That was a game changer. That was so much nicer. That made it so much easier to read the water.
Yeah, I was going to say that you needed something like a mirror periscope or something that you could just look down in and see it from a more comfortable position.
Yeah, that was really good. And then my buddy Tim, he sold me a spare knuckle that he had laying around because I had one extra coupler for the tank car, but I needed another one, so I'm going to put this one on the back of the caboose. But I had to make a new pin for it because he didn't have a knuckle pin in there, and I don't know if you can see how that works, but it's just like a real one where the pin just drops down. It's just a piece of brass that I made. So that was an easy fit. He sold me that.
Nice.
So that was your weekend last weekend.
That was my weekend. Yeah, it went by real fast. Except for the mosquitoes, man. I'll tell you what, you don't go up there without bug spray.
Yeah, I can imagine. It wasn't bad when I was there, though.
Oh, these guys will drill you through your clothes. I mean, they're as big as flies, and these are huge.
Yeah.
These are the biggest mosquitoes I've ever seen in my life. Let's see, Bernard, what KP number is that? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, what would that be? A number 100?
No, it'd be in the thousands, that one.
Thousands?
I was going to say a double lock because isn't that the direction they go with them?
Oh,
The smaller
Claude,
they are, the higher the number.
yeah, if you can, put up that picture of that locomotive that Tim bought.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me do that right
Oh,
quick here.
Yeah, let's just add more salt to the wound to everyone else that's just joined the show.
Yeah.
He stole that thing. He absolutely stole it. The guy's getting out of the hobby. It's a Winton consolidation. And this thing is just smoking. And it's got a crack in the dry pipe. The boiler's got to be pulled off it to fix it. And it's going to cost him about between $1,000 and $2,000 to get that fixed. But the guy, it's a guy that Tim knows from his own track, and he said, "Man, the first $4,500 takes it." I mean, he stole that thing. Just the appliances on the alone are worth that much.
For those who
even if
aren't in
this
the
was
know, for those who aren't in the know, Steve, what would that loco cost if you were to purchase it brand new?
Well, it basically is brand new. It's got very few run hours on it, and that's easily a 20,000 plus, probably 25 grand. That locomotive.
Yeah. Even in a kit form where it's just parts that you got to.
Oh, just parts can probably.
Yeah. If you had to put it together, it'd still cost you a lot more than he paid for it.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, that is a beautiful locomotive, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he right, Bernard, man, scored, absolutely scored. And the best part is his wife, Kylie. She said, "If you don't buy that, you're an effing idiot."
Gotta love wives like that.
Yeah. Well, she knew what it was worth. That's why she told me to buy it. I'd have bought it, not having any place to put it, just to be able to turn it around and sell it for more.
Well, and the thing is, I understand it's really easy to fire, but he made custom propane firing valve for it, and what it does, it's got a sensor in the propane line. When it reads the pressure where the safeties are going to pop, it'll automatically back off the propane so the safeties don't pop. And then when it drops down, it kicks the fire back up, so you don't even have to fire the thing. All you can do is run it.
Yeah, that would take a lot of pressure off you running it.
Yeah, I think Kylie's going to steal for a party train.
Oh, see, and he's got one of those bass boat chairs on this. That's what a lot of those guys put on their flat cars and stuff, is a chair like that.
Yeah,
A seat like that.
it does help.
Yeah.
It does make the back happier.
Well, Bernard, we'll tell Tim that you're interested.
No,
I'm not telling him.
Anyway.
For sure.
So Bill, what did you do last weekend? I know you did some interesting stuff. You always do.
Yeah, I had some fun, and then I'll show you at least one thing I was doing on the layout. So last weekend, back in Iowa, going to visit Mom. She had her 95th birthday a few weeks ago, so sort of went to the nursing home, celebrated that.
95 years. Jesus.
95. Too bad with the dementia, she doesn't remember only a few of them, which is sad, but she's still 95, going pretty strong, even though her memory's just not there. But
Yeah.
went to Caboose Stop Hobbies, of course. I've got a very large box of stuff coming, which I had hoped that I might have seen it on the doorstep when I got home yesterday from working in Chicago. But, all kinds of different things that are coming with that. And like I did last time, I think I showed that I bought a bin of lumber last time that they had that hadn't been touched mostly in years. So this time I bought the adjoining bin, which had styrene. Lots of brand new packages, a stack of sheet styrene that literally is about 3 to 4 inches thick, and then cut parts and other things. Spent $90 for that, just to get a massive quantity of stuff for scratch building. Also got in the ON30, the rail bus, the Bachmann rail bus DCC for like $120, and a bunch of other things. So really nice for that. Then went to Oelwein, Iowa, which was, I think, a division point on the Chicago Great Western way back in the day. And, I put a video out on that showing their little heritage museum.
Yeah, that was a good video.
It was fun, and it was so nice to be able to go inside the F unit that they had on display. Most places anymore, you can go only see from the outside. You can't get in. This one you could get in, and you can see kind of how it was left the day that they stopped running the locomotive when they parked it on that track. That was really cool to see the prime mover and just to see how much open space there actually was inside of an F unit.
Mm-hmm.
Just really cool for me to get in there and take a look around. So had fun with that. There was a gentleman at the Heritage Museum who made all of those engines and cars out of sliced walnuts. That was really cool to see. Those are probably about G scale in size. But he and I were talking for probably a good half an hour just on how he made a jig so that he could put walnuts in and then run them through a bandsaw. And then how he sorted them by sizes so that each of the components on an engine were built using the same size, so there was consistency. Just really cool stuff that he did.
Do you have pictures?
They're on the video for what I sent out, so you can kind of see them on there. But as far as pictures, maybe just 1 or 2 of them. But just, and he made all kinds of different equipment, and it was all Chicago Great Western stuff because he used to work at the shops there in Oelwein. And, if anybody is interested in modeling like a service, repair, build area, give consideration to the Oelwein Chicago Great Western. You can look up online for Sanborn fire insurance maps. There's a bunch of them that show the facility. But they had long, straight transfer tables. They had massive shops where they did build and rebuild of locomotives from steam through diesel era. A couple of very large engine service facilities, turntables, the coaling, water, sand, everything. And then a large yard. If somebody's got a decent sized space in N scale, you could selectively condense and really have something that's pretty cool and is fairly prototypical based on what they had up here at the Oelwein shops, and complicated package. Something that, if I had a basement and I had a big space, not necessarily modeling a lot, but some of that would be kind of cool because I've seen that for years. And that's one place back in about 1965 when I was just a real young whippersnapper. I saw an actual running steam locomotive. They had it was like an 080 switcher, and it was running in that area because it was still active. There was no cars behind it. They might have been sending that locomotive to the shop to be scrapped, for all I know. But that's the one of 2 times I saw an actual steam locomotive in the 60s still doing something on a real railroad. Memories from that area is just pretty cool. A lot of stuff that somebody could model and have some fun with. Then on the layout, one thing that I got to haven't done a whole lot, is, people were talking about my little machine shop and adding some windows. So I added some windows.
There you go.
And I added a little light in there. So I've got one, and I don't know how well you can see it, but I got one LED little lamp in there, and I've got it just running off of a little 9-volt battery that I can disconnect when I'm not using it. It'll be just for when I've got it for shows. But I've got. So what I did is I had a HO scale street lamp that I bought as a pack of like a dozen from China years ago. So I took it and bent it in a couple of different areas to put a light over the guy on the workbench, and it works out pretty well. It gives me the nice effect that I want when I've got the cover on this. So you can kind of see in it from different areas, and it's right at the height that the kiddos will be able to look at it and have some fun when I take this to more shows later. So that's pretty much all that I've done. Although I do have, and I don't know if I talked about it last time, I don't think I had them, but Lynn McCurdy sent me a bunch of O-scale and a little bit bigger than O-scale automobiles. And, he had extra, so he sent them to me. I've got a video coming out unboxing showing them, but those couple of cars back there are ones that are 1 to 48 that Lynn McCurdy sent me. So I put them on the layout, move things around a little bit, but that's what I've been up to. So I am starting to get materials to build the shelves so that I can start to put the one section of the HO scale up in storage. So I'm getting started on that project here. Got to wait for it to cool down just a little bit. Tools out in the yard or out in the driveway to start cutting some lumber. But moving on for other fun things.
That's Steve. No one that one. He said, while you were alive in 65, did you see any dinosaurs?
I did, and they were awesome.
We had them as pets, Heath.
Yeah.
we just kept them in the backyard.
The Flintstones is actually a reality TV show, for those of you that did not know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
The mainstream time, too. It came on at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, so what are you doing?
The Great Western Museum, I showed a caboose.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it had like the electrical generator where, tied to the wheel, the things. And then I got looking at when the caboose was built, and the caboose was built after I was born. That really made me feel old.
Yeah, and it was a wooden caboose. That was the thing.
Well, that was the Rock Island. This one was a Chicago Great Western. It was the metal caboose, but it looked ancient. And I'm looking at it as like, well, yeah, I'm ancient too.
We're ancient, Bill.
Hey, just remember, railroads are starting to use cabooses again now.
Say again?
Really? A lot of the large railroads are using cabooses again.
No, they're not.
Or say I haven't seen any here.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're equipping them with the radio control they use in the yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're equipping the cabooses with those. So instead of having to run the train all the way to the other end, when they're shunting, they just have someone at the other end.
Oh, they've been using them as shoving platforms for years.
Yeah.
That's not new.
Oh, so Dennis, what were you doing this week?
Well, the primary thing that I have done is I've got this going on, and here is what's going to fit into it. You can see how that's going to work.
So that piece on the front, was that a kit or something?
Part there. The only thing in here that's not scratch built is that this is a Tichy storefront. But there was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? scratch building associated with how I got it all to fit in there. Now, all of this stuff, I don't know if you can see it, but there's shelving units in there. All that is scratch built. That's just evergreen plastic, some rod plastic, and some regular, square stock that I created different sizes with. And you can see here, I got some wallpaper in there. And that's just printed off of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the superstructure of this is all scratch built. The only thing that's not is the storefront. So, and I'm calling that a cassette. So it fits into the wood block like this. Now, where's my other?
Well, that's a good looking storefront. You say it's a Tichy?
It's a Tichy storefront. The only thing I don't like about that is that's really the only storefront they offer. So I'm going to have to figure out how to scratch build, something like this besides this so that every store doesn't look exactly the same.
Yeah.
I can't believe that I have misplaced the backside of my building. Somewhere I have also got a printout for the back of here so it will be glued in here similar to my wallpaper so that it gives an illusion of depth so you're not actually seeing the wood block.
Yeah.
And then the next step beyond that is going to be putting in a light, which I've already kind of started figuring out how I'm going to do that. So the one thing that I still haven't decided on, and I'll show you, the building that this is supposed to represent is this building right here, or something similar. So you can see there's a big difference between the storefront here and this storefront because the proportions are just drastically different. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I haven't decided yet, but when I lay in the front of this, that I just bring it all the way down to that first window. So the false front begins at the top of that first window and or the height of the door, which would be more prototypical for the structure that I'm building. I think that's what I'm going to do because that will give it the look that I'm wanting, because this looks more modern to me, more like, a 1950s or something like that. So that's what I did probably one whole day last weekend. And of course, I also have been working a lot on the maquette. It's probably 85% finished. So that's really all I've done.
You know what you need to do? You know what you need to do, Dennis, with your mock-up is get some Z-scale track and actually make that into a little Z-scale layout, because that would be perfect for that.
Well, I don't know. That would be something to consider down the road. I mean,
you'd have fun with it. Because it looks great. It would be nice to be able to, really put it to use.
I would have to think that that's actually smaller than Z-scale, don't you think?
Well, you could fake it out a little bit, but
yeah.
For a Z-scale, little switching area or little layout, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. I might think about that eventually. Another rabbit hole to go down. Now I'm online buying Z-scale locomotives.
More scales. Come on, buy some stuff.
Yeah. Let him talk to Gail first.
I've got plenty to do without jumping off into another scale.
Oh, come on. I did. It's fun. Shannon's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Come on, you do it too.
But you probably finished one project before you moved on to the next, though.
No, probably not.
No.
I've still got stuff to do on the HO and the N scale.
Yeah, but they're finished to a degree that most people never accomplish. Let's be
Never get
honest.
to
Yeah,
And I
let's
have
be
no hope
honest
of
about
finishing
that.
anything.
We noticed that, Shannon. Are you going to show us yours, Shannon?
Yeah, will do. So, actually, this would have been a good subject for a show. Who's the sickest? So obviously we've got Bill over here. He's got 3 scales, and then there's me. So everyone knows I model N scale narrow gauge. I don't know how many know I model HO narrow gauge.
I like that thump for emphasis.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make a good display.
You need to flip that over, Shannon, so they can see the brake rigging.
Yeah, look at the detail on this thing.
What? Who produces that model, Shannon?
Someone you're very familiar with.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, that got good models.
Dennis, who did you say? Didn't you say somebody bought out one of the older companies and turned it into mountain models?
Yeah, I believe that at one time was PCS or PSC. I never can get the
Precision Scale.
Precision Scale. That's my understanding. I might be misremembering, but I believe that Precision Scale is now Mountain Models.
We lost Shannon.
Which I don't know if you happen to see, but the narrow gauge. I can't think of the name of the channel, but they had a guy on there, I think just this week, that talked about how he went in and did his mountain models K27, and it was a really good watch. If anyone that's into narrow gauge ought to check that out. He completely rebuilt the tender and made it. One of the things about the mountain models, particularly in the HO scale, is the window mullions. They're like 4x4 in scale. They're grossly too big. He took those out with a Dremel, put in etched brass windows, and just did a lot of things to make the model look even better, which the model already looks really good. It's probably my favorite one of all of mine. So they're good models, and they run great too.
I was trying to remember what company it was that you had said that mountain models actually came from. Did you catch that, Shannon? It was Precision Scale.
Yeah, Precision Scale. Yeah, which I think with Precision Scale, because Precision Scales are also Broadway Limited.
Really, I had never heard that.
No, because when Broadway Limited first released a lot of the early models, they were releasing under Precision Scale models. I'm pretty sure it says on the boxes, it says Precision Scale. So I think they got the tooling for the HO stuff. And that's where they kind of got their designs for, their first hybrid models or something like that. But yeah, I do remember, you could find a lot of models, ready to run stuff that were said Precision Scale models that were mainly like a die cast plastic hybrid model that, that ran really well. And I know Broadway Limited took that part over at some point as well.
Yeah.
But then you got PSM who, they did a lot of other brass stuff. I know that here in Australia, they did a lot of Aussie stuff as well, from memory. Obviously the American, you know, but they all derive, you know, down from some Hongsa or Key Imports or whoever. So, you know, they're all in the same bed, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I knew when he showed me it was a mountain models, I was thinking, oh yeah, they're, because he was asking me to guess how much you paid for it, and I got within what, $25?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, I thought, because
Well,
it's
actually,
already got sound, DCC and sound in it, so you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually,
that always makes the cost price point go down.
no, it's done properly because it has the instructions on how to do it.
Oh, it
I think
does.
yeah, but in saying that, I'm going to rip the sound out because it's soundtracks, and I don't like soundtracks. And if Jason's in here, sorry, Jason.
I haven't seen him.
I don't think he's here today.
Yeah. But apart from that, for those who are new to the show, I also model another. I only worked this out the other day. What do I model now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 3 scales, I model 8 or 9 different forms of model railroad. I would list them, but I don't think half the guys would know what they are.
Well, it's because they're all done in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those don't really count, so.
No.
No. It's the pommy stuff that doesn't really count. You gotta remember, here in Australia, we've got SD70s. Only difference is they're on half-life wheels, not full-life wheels. Because our loading gauge is not as big as yours.
Yeah, okay.
All righty.
Oh, I
What-
was trying to read chat here. Allie says she's got NHO, HON 3.5, SN 3.5, and 00.
Ali, I've got you by a long shot so far. But I guess this is what happens when you work in a train shop long enough. You look at all these trains and you go, I want that one. I want that one. I want that one.
Yeah. That's why I never worked in a hardware store, because I'd have had every tool they had.
Yeah.
just so I had it. But yeah, you got to be careful when you work around that kind of stuff. Has anybody got any
it's
questions?
kind of the, do you need it? Not really, but I wanted it.
I wanted it, yeah. Does anybody have any questions in chat for anybody?
Well, Claude, what have you been doing?
I have been recovering from my back being out again. I threw it out on vacation. We were going on vacation, and first day I threw it out again. And I've just now, well, I got to play golf yesterday, so I've just now gotten it back into halfway decent. And now my knees hurt because I hadn't been up moving around as much. And I went out and played golf yesterday. So now this morning my knees are kind of bothering me a little bit, but that'll go away. So I'm not too worried about that. But I haven't done anything with the layout in about 3 weeks. I've got the next structure I'm going to start on is a coal tower. I've got a fine scale miniatures coal tower. Similar to what Dennis is doing on his. It's just a coal ramp, basically.
Old trestle.
Yeah, it's a coal trestle. Yeah, that's what it is. And so that'll probably be the next thing I start. But before I do that, I've got to find out how I'm going to incorporate it on the scene in that town, because I don't know if I'm going to have the room to have it up the full height of the trestle. So I don't know if I'm going to be cutting that trestle down and make it half as high, or if I'm going to have room to get it all the way up. Hopefully I'll be able to use the full height of it. But I don't know yet until I get that. But I'm getting ready to buy the base materials I need to start laying out a track plan and figure out where my structures are going to go and stuff like that. So that's, hopefully we'll get done some this next week, depending on other stuff. but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that started and finishing up the top deck. So then I can get into finishing all the scenery and all the detail work, because there's a lot of that I've got that I don't want to get out. I have been putting some of these structures I've been putting detail inside of them. And of course, putting lights in them and stuff like that, and some on the front porch or something like that, or some of the little houses I've built. On the small depot that's going to be up there, I've got it detailed out. The freight house has got detail on it. So, but there's a lot of those, like the brewery is going to have a lot more on the outside, but I want to get it in place before I do that. Because otherwise it's too fragile. And then of course, one of the other things I got to finish is the tram buckets and stuff on the summit above it. Excuse me, above Summit Y. But that is really fragile, going to be really fragile. So I have to wait until the very last thing, get everything else put into it, and then I'll put the tram buckets on. But the towers are built for everything. Say again?
My plan for my trestle is to from the area where, because there's going to be, I don't know, a certain amount that is going to be dirt mound buildup to the first bent. I want to mount that first bent with I don't know what do they call that, the wood that goes across there that keeps the dirt in place.
Bulkhead.
The bulkhead, or the embankment area. From there all the way to the end of the trestle, I plan on mounting on top of a 1/4 inch masonite, which is the exact same height as my cork. So that the whole trestle, will be one unit on top of that. I can build it on the workbench and then set it in place and hopefully come up from the bottom. I don't know that I'll have to kind of flesh that out, but come up from the bottom into the masonite and fix it that way. And so whoever inherits this mess might be able to remove that as a unit and make use of it somewhere else or sell on eBay.
Yeah.
Dennis, you're so of the people after you die.
Do what?
You're so thoughtful of the people after you die, taking care of them.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm wanting this layout to continue on. I would like someone else to enjoy it besides me.
Yeah. Well, mine's going to have to be just ripped out piece by piece, because it's. I told my son when I started, I said, by the way, you're the one that's going to have to deal with this when I'm not around anymore. So, because I know my wife will not do anything with it. She'd call somebody, say, hey, come get it. Of course, that's what I've told her. I said, too, if you don't want to mess with it, you want it out of here, there's plenty of phone numbers in the back of Model Railroad magazine. Call one of them up and they'll come get it. I can guarantee you. So.
That, or you can call me. I've got 4 boys.
Yeah. You want to come get it.
Yeah.
Pack it up in a shipping container and there you go.
Rob's asking a question here. How did Dennis and Claude make that last evening storm? Last night was, I don't even know if it rained here last night. Yesterday, late afternoon, early evening, I guess, we had a pretty good front come through, but it barely got us. It was nothing like a couple of weeks ago with 100-mile-an-hour winds. There were some strong winds and lots of lightning and thunder, but it wasn't horrible. I mean, there wasn't a lot of rain with it, for one thing. But the 100-mile-an-hour winds we had a couple of weeks ago, that was much worse. We got hit pretty hard with that. I think both of us.
About the last 5 miles of my journey home from my home away from home, I went through some heavy rain and a little bit of hail. But luckily, it didn't last for very long. It's about maybe 5 miles, if even that. It's the weather has been insane this year out here. We've gotten as much rain in maybe 2 months than normally we get in an entire year. Yeah. Our average rainfall is somewhere between 17 to 20 inches, I would guess, out here. And I think we've gotten that in the last 3 months. Yeah. Which means that it will probably stop raining eventually, and we won't get any more rain for, a year.
Yeah, I made mention the other day, wife and I were driving somewhere, and I said, it's crazy. It's so green around here in the middle of July. Normally by this time, everything's starting to yellow out, all the grass and stuff in the fields that are around here. If it's not watered by somebody, it's starting to turn yellow and brown, and it's still just bright green. It looks like spring almost around here.
Yeah. The wife planted shade grass underneath we got several trees and a little patio out there underneath a little section of trees. And we planted shade grass out there probably, I don't know, 6 years ago, give or take. And it did really well for the first couple of years. Then we had a year of really bad drought. Every bit of it died. And she planted some more this year, and it has completely filled in all of those areas. The yard's never looked any better. And we just got lucky and picked the right year to plant shade grass.
Yeah. Yeah, because that kind of grass needs a lot of water.
Yeah, it's a lot of water.
And fescue, it's probably fescue in it. Yeah. Takes a lot of water in the heat, because the heat will just dry it out.
And we get the drought resistant fescue. I don't know exactly what kind she got this time, but you have to get drought resistant. But you get 3 weeks of 112-degree weather and no rain, because we used to go to military for 2 weeks every summer, and that generally is when everything goes downhill. But we're not in the military anymore, so
I'm not going to comment on that comment right there. But
yeah,
this was the comment that was being referred to. So, yeah.
I missed that. Can you bring that back up again?
What? Oh, Allie's?
Yeah.
This is what Allie said to that comment. She read it wrong. Oh.
Funny.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, anyway, what else did I see? Somebody had a tornado hit. Rick had tornado hit ground yesterday here in, is that Michigan? Michigan? Haven't heard about any damage. Most went out to Lake Erie. Yeah, you guys probably don't get near the tornadoes we get here, but we haven't had any this year around here. We did have the tornado sirens go off for that 100-mile-an-hour wind, but that was all straight wind a couple of weeks ago. We didn't get any tornadoes out of it that I know of.
There was definitely a tornado that went through Sayre at the beginning of this year that took out a couple of buildings, but there wasn't mass destruction effort to make the media. But there was definitely a tornado just on the north side of Sayre early this spring.
Yeah, it's a wonder we haven't had more. I think all that tornado activity's kind of shifted east the last couple of years. I mean, we still get them here, but they haven't been as prolific as they normally are.
Does seem like it has moved farther east. Well, I was in Chicago. Chicago got hit by, I think they counted at least 11 tornadoes the other day. Not where I was at, but just north of where I was at. The storms were pretty intense and just torrential rains. But yeah, Chicago will get hit, just not 11 tornadoes in one day.
Yeah. John Tanzillo says that it's an El Nino year, which I just talked about this to the wife, just the other day. Once upon a time, you constantly heard about whether or not it was an El Nino year or a La Nina year or whatever it was. you don't hear any meteorologists talking about, or at least I haven't, talk about that particular weather pattern, which I think is odd.
Well,
Why do we not discuss that anymore? Is it not a thing?
Well, I
It's
know
shifted.
for a fact here in Australia, because our weather's been out of whack. I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago now. There's a whole lot of news media about something else, and there was a big top story which overshadowed another story about a remote island where a volcano erupted, and that eruption actually affected the currents for Antarctica, which is one of the currents that determines basically the south and southeast of Australia's weather. And because of that, we didn't have a summer. Like our hottest day, like in the past, a hot day for us would have been like 100, 102, 105, and you'd get about 4 or 5 of those days in the summer. Otherwise, it'd be a consistent 90 degrees, almost every day. Whereas this year, I think the most we would have hit once I did a conversion was about 75, 80 degrees. And we got a lot of rain as well during the summer, which makes no sense.
Well, Dennis, you can't talk about La Nina and El Nino because you can blame it on climate change instead of the normal weather patterns of the ocean.
See, I wasn't going to go there, Steve. I'm not going to say that didn't cross my mind, but I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah, we don't need to go there.
Yeah.
That's getting too close to way too much stuff. So anyway, we got about 3 minutes left. If anybody's got any more questions, Roy said he can't believe he missed a whole hour not being able to rag on Shannon's hairdo.
Yeah, Shannon, good.
That's right, I can rag on this little dude's hairdo.
Yeah, he was born on July 4th, right?
Yep. Patriot baby.
That's so cute.
Like I say, Shannon, we can get you some pamphlets on what causes that. He go, man, don't quit setting me up like that. I can't hold my head up.
Well, for a baby that's only a week and a half old, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah. Looks like me after I've had a couple. Roy asked that question, when are you going to stop making babies? We told him we'd send him the pamphlets, tell him how to keep from that happening. But anyway, okay, I guess we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, probably as good as time as any.
Guys, thanks a lot, Bill, Dennis, Steve, and Shannon. And the baby's name was again? Lorenzo. Okay. Well, and tell Crystal hello for us.
I would, but she's currently, where is she?
She's asleep, probably.
Probably went to
She's
bed.
right there on the couch.
Yeah, she's probably sound asleep if you got the baby. She's probably taking her
Well,
chance.
that's why I grabbed the baby, because he needs to be burped.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll see you guys next weekend. We should all be back here, and I hope you all have a good weekend and a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, everyone take care.
Good, everybody.
Bye-bye.